Discuss.
What's up, Roundup homies? It's your boy Chris Haskins. I'm one with my favorite mentor, Dan Barrero. What's going on, Dan?
It is what it is, man. What's going on? I was actually gonna ask. I was asking you, what are we gonna discuss tonight? Anything on the news that we should be discussing with the audience?
We need to be discussing what is going on regarding this election and what do people think is going to happen with this craziness. It's crazy, Dan. I'm seeing tax things. I'm seeing loans for black men. I'm like, when did black men ever become a priority for anybody? And forget black and brown. I love my brown homies. I'm cool with y'all. I'm cool with y'all. But when did black men ever become a priority for anybody other than the penile system? So anyway,
Mm.
round up homies. I'm Chris Haskins. I'm going to be your co-pilot tonight, hanging out with Dan Barrero. Together, we have been in the real estate business for over 50 years combined, and we are here tonight to answer. Oh, I gotta get IG popping. Hold on a second. We're here tonight to answer your questions and talk to you about any real estate deals you've got going. We would love to help you. Let me bring the number up, Dan, real quick. Boom. Call in with your questions. You can actually go live with Dan Barrero right now to get your questions answered. Dan,
Go
tell me
live with.
where your
You
stomach is
can
at.
actually go live with Chris Haskins to get your answers.
No doubt. I'll take that. I keep telling my wife I am actually somebody. Like I'm a
Yeah.
guy.
Not when we're home. We nobody at home.
I'm I'm less than I'm like.
Yeah, it's like pick up your socks. Like,
But Dan, I wanted to ask you, real estate, I don't think people understand how important it is. You are involved in real estate, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, or whether you even enjoy it. And I just want you to just speak about that, Dan, because if you're paying rent, you're involved in real estate. If you're paying a mortgage, you're involved in real estate. If you've paid your house off, you still got real estate taxes and you got to deal with the market. So just talk a little bit about that, Dan.
go to the doctor, you're involved. You're going into real estate.
A building.
Yeah, you
You're
go to
going to a building.
walking into real estate. You go to take your pet to be groomed.
The gym.
You're in real estate. Everything around us revolves around real estate. So even if you're a renter, you say I don't own anything. Well, you might as well be because you've been paying somebody's mortgage, right?
That's deep, Dan. That's deep.
Yeah. So if anybody has their question, feel free to come. Just dial that number and you can come on with us. Um,
Come in with us. Yeah, 757. If you're listening, 757 204
so
one
let's
three
get
three
back,
two.
Chris, until somebody calls us with a question.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get back to the question you brought up about the elections, right?
Mhm.
Um, I'm constantly stating I don't care who wins because that whoever wins, the only reason I care who wins is for social reasons, not for economic reasons. Because
Mm.
whoever wins, it's irrelevant. I'm gonna make money. Chris Haskins is gonna make money, right?
I got to. Well, I won't eat.
Right. The question people should be asking is, what are we doing to prepare in the event Harris wins, or in the event if Trump wins? That's the question that people should be asking us.
1 second, caller. Caller, please state your name and where you're calling in from.
Hey, Jay here calling from Dallas, Texas. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you. We hear you loud and clear. You said it was Junior?
Jay.
J J A Y?
Yep.
All right.
Yes, that's
Jay
correct.
in Dallas. What's going on, homie?
All good, brother. All good, man. I saw you guys are live, so just jump in right away. Um, my question is, we have a rent to own, and it's been 3 years already,
Now,
but
hold on.
tenant buyer cannot execute.
You're selling. You own the property and you're selling it rent to own. I'll make sure I get it clear.
Yeah, we own the property.
We want you to save it for us.
Sold it rent to own,
Okay, got it. Go.
but buyer cannot execute after 3 years.
When did you initiate the agreement?
More than 3 years.
So it's been 3 years plus before.
Yeah, it passed already.
All right, cool. Okay, Jay, keep going. Go ahead.
They did some repair. They really maintained the house. Put some new kitchen. Put some new floors. Put some new pathway concrete. Um, they're paying on time, but I never raised the rent.
Yeah,
So
that's
now,
good.
but they never get qualified. So now they're trying to see if they can get a hard money loan to buy me out.
Please don't let these people get no hard money loan to do this. That would not be a good day. Dan, you're muted, Dan. I can't.
I'm good, Chris. I just
Oh, you
I
talking? Okay, you got another call. Um, Jay, first of all, thank you for calling in. Let's start there. Your people have been in their rent to own property. Did you do a seller financing or what? You're in Texas. You can't really be doing lease
Just the
options.
lease option.
All right, you got to be
Yeah.
careful with that down there. I won't. I'm not qualified to train on that in Texas.
Oh, but in the properties in Arizona though.
Oh, okay. So we good.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know it.
All right, Arizona. So what type of down payment did they give you, Jay?
Let me remember. Maybe 8 grand.
8,000. That's a good day. All right, Jay. So
I cannot hear Dan actually.
he's talking to
For
somebody
some
else. He's got
reason.
another call he had to call. We're gonna wait. He'll be off that call in a minute. So
Okay.
yeah, I do more lease auctions than Dan does, and but I do want to know his opinion. Obviously, he's the man. So I want everybody
Yeah.
to understand this. So Jay has a rent to own lease option. He sold the property 3 or 4 years ago. The time frame has ended or has passed for his tenant buyer to refinance or buy the property, whatever, get Jay out of this thing, correct?
Right.
All right. So we have to, you haven't raised the rent in 3 to 4 years.
No, they're paying on time, so I'm happy with it. So I never bother. So
What is the rent, by the way?
I believe almost 1,400 something.
What's your mortgage payment?
900 bucks.
So they make it $500 a month. You haven't done any repairs.
I have not done any repairs, but they did improve it. They
I'm talking
done the
about, no,
repair. They
forget
have a
them. I'm talking about
they've
you.
improved the property, so they obviously haven't
no.
on purchasing it.
They have, yeah, they did. You ain't spent no money. So you made $500, 5 times 12 is six. You made 20 grand. Shit, plus eight. You all to the good, dog. Dan, you want to chime in? So now we're sitting here. When is the lease up? When is the release renew for the year?
Um, the lease it needs to be renewed every year, right? We renew it every year.
Yeah, but I'm saying, is it coming up? Is it like coming up in the future, or did it just pass?
It passed already. The lease option passed already.
I know the option part, but I'm talking about the lease portion. Like what
It
month?
it just expires actually. The lease expires. Yeah, already. I need to renew it again.
Okay, so it's time to renew. All right.
So
Well,
listen,
go
you
ahead.
should never every year the lease should go up. I don't
There
care
you
if it
go.
even goes up $25, right? Because some years you're going to have
Yeah,
increases
do it.
that you have to make sure you're covered with, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't increase the rent at a minimum of $25, you're hurting yourself because then what happens is, you got 3 years of real estate increases and you say, oh my God, I'm losing like $200 a month. I got to raise their rent 200 a month.
You know
Now
they've
that
been paying tax. You know
right,
taxes have been going up there.
right. So now the
Yeah.
tenant's going to be upset because you just gave them a rent increase of $200 in one lump sum, and they're going to say, "Yeah, but I pay you on time. I never give you a phone call. I take care of the property." And my argument is, so you're doing what you said, what you're supposed to do according to your contractual obligation. I'm not going to
Mhm.
reward you for that, right? So did you
Right.
reward me when you called me with a problem? But the point is, you need to increase the rent on an annual basis so that in the event when you do get big increases to cover your overhead, you're not giving a tenant $200-300 rent increase. That's really not fair to them, right? So you actually
Right.
not increasing their rent for 3 years is very it's irresponsible on your behalf because you're happy saying I'm making 500 a month. I'm happy because I got a good tenant, but the reality is that you're really not making 500 a month if if your insurance and your taxes continue to go up.
Oh,
Plus,
you know that's going up.
yeah,
You know what's going on. Jay,
Right.
I would say hit him with $100. My maximum. I don't go over $100. Where we live, if you $100, anyway, you have to judge your market. But if I have a lease option tenant buyer that did not exercise their option, I just let them stay as long as they want to stay. I just keep raising the rent and calling it the other day. I just telling you what we do. So you have to decide in your gut. I know some guys are saying, look, I'm done. Lease is over. You got to go. I'm going to get another tenant buyer with a new down payment. Some people do that. Jay, what are you thinking? Let me
Yeah.
tell me what you're thinking.
They're really trying to push if they can get the hard money loan to buy me out for the same contract. But the thing is, I wanna I wanna see what's your advice about this.
Dan, can anything good come to an owner occupant that's borrowing hard money to refinance a guy? Can anything good
at the
can
end of the
happen?
day, I mean, if they pull it through and you want to sell it to them, by all means. I'm not telling you not to, but I kind of think
Create more problems.
it's unethical if you don't like. If it were me, I'd advise them and I'd say, listen,
Don't do that, man.
that's going to hurt you, and
In
explain
fact,
to them all the reasons why it would hurt them doing it that way, right? And if they still want to proceed, then I would go with it and sell it to them. But I would be really upfront, honest with them, telling them the way you want to buy this property, you're setting yourself up for failure,
failure.
and whoever you're getting a hard money loan from is going to end up with this property.
Yeah. Jay, you sound like a nice guy. Most hard money lenders
I'm
from
trying to be nice. Yeah.
you sound like a nice guy, man, and you really want to help. Dan, most hard money lenders I've ever done business with only lend to LLCs and corporations.
Um, it's kind of funny. Well, yeah, you're right. Look,
So
I think people are setting them up. If you're buying something that you can't afford, you're just setting yourself up for failure. Hence, what happened in
Buying time.
2008,
Mhm.
right? So, it's your job to, and it's not your job, but I look at it as an investment.
Duty.
Tell
Duty.
people, look, you're setting yourself up for failure. I know you want my property, but the way you want to do this, you're gonna regret doing it this way. So don't let your emotions take control of your common sense. And let me explain
Mhm.
it to you why. And then sometimes you can lead a horse to water. That doesn't mean you can make the horse drink the water.
Jay, what are you thinking? I want to know what you thinking. Do you want to keep them or you want to get rid of them, get a new down payment? What do you want to do?
um, what I'm thinking, they just put a lot of repair to it. They fix it up. They put it's the nice. The house is nice right now.
I bet it is, man.
You
I'm
know,
sure they did.
I
They
sent
put
a
a lot
guy
of
in there to check the house. It looks so good.
they put what, 20 grand, 30 grand?
I would say easy. Yeah,
Yeah.
new kitchen, no new floor,
Wow.
new everything.
Shit. It is. Jay, I'm first of all, I'm honored that you would even call in and let us talk to you. I want to make sure we're there, because we're not trying to hurt people. We want to. I sense that you want to really. Why don't you, Jay? If I were you, I would go and try to find a loan officer that would help them, Jay. That way, you don't want them to just be out 30 grand, right?
Right.
So yeah, why don't you do a little helping? Do you have the time to go out there and talk? And do you have any relationships with any mortgage brokers?
I do have a bunch of loan officer. I did refer some of them already, but that was before doing the transaction. So but
Jay,
I
one
did
of the things
restart.
I'm
So I
I'm in
just want
I'm
to
in that
see if they could
situation
report.
now, Jay. I'm in a situation now where I have a tenant. I sent a prospective buyer to look at the door, and the tenant called me up and said,
Okay.
"Listen, if that person doesn't want to buy it, I'm very interested in buying it because I don't want to have to move out. I know my rent is going to go up again in January, and I'd very much like to rather buy it uh, um, instead of continuing to rent." And I said, "Sure, not a problem." So I gave him the price. He agreed to it, and I went so far as to set him up with two of my mortgage brokers that I actually use for my own
Okay.
mortgages, right? But I
Mhm.
did tell the
Right.
tenant, listen, this might be a conflict. This may appear to be a conflict of interest because I'm also the person selling you the property. But these are the two people I use. You could use whoever you want. I recommend them because they tell me the truth every single time.
Yeah.
Is it going to happen or not happen, or if there's going to be any problems in the process of getting that loan? So he ended up going with
Right.
a family friend of theirs, and it was just a disaster.
Oh
Um,
no.
it was a disaster.
Oh no.
So I then put him in touch. He asked me again for the numbers. I put him in touch with one of them, and he is getting the loan, and it's coming in at 6.1%.
That ain't bad.
Yeah. Oh, and it was only one
Nice.
point with 1 point. So if you have somebody that you're working with, that you have a relationship with, I would say to that potential renter who wants to be the buyer, hey, listen, why don't you call this person up and let him tell you if you could qualify for a loan or not before you go to a hard money lender that's going to hit you over the head with
They're gonna
interest,
destroy these people, Dan.
right?
They're gonna
So,
destroy them.
and then tell them if this guy says you don't really qualify, you're not in that position because you're just going to set yourself up for failure. You don't want to sell somebody a property that they're setting themselves up for failure.
Right. Yeah.
Good luck, Jay. I know you got. Luckily, you're in the driver's seat, right, Dan?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You are so in the driver's seat. It's not like you're, you know, owing money and you put money in and you need to get the money back. You could be in such a horrible
No,
position.
I'm not yet.
You're in like you're
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. Thanks to you guys.
Yeah.
I appreciate all of you guys putting the value out there. So
No,
I
good
appreciate
luck
so
to
much.
you. Let us know what you do, man. Good luck to you, brother.
Have a wonderful night.
thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Appreciate you all.
That's a
Okay.
rough one right there, Dan. Damn. I don't recommend anybody buying a house you go live in with a hard money loan. Dan,
No.
you asking for
Look, it's like people buy. It's funny. I see. I'm looking at this one property, a commercial property. It's 7 stores, and one of the stores, the renters is a pawn shop, right? And I'm in there talking to the tenant, and we're just chewing. I'm trying to get a feel for his personality,
uh-huh.
and these people come in to pawn jewelry, and he gives them the price, and it looked to me like it was just so a matter of fact when they came in. You
He
could
don't
tell
care.
they've done it before.
Oh, the
Um,
people?
yeah. So I was asking him. I says, uh, "How did that happen that quick? Like they just knew. Like everybody knew everything. You knew who they were. They knew who you were. They knew what they were gonna get. Like." He says, "Man," he goes, "these people bought this gold from me, this jewelry from me, a year ago, and every 2 to 3 months
At market rate?
at market rate, and every 2 to 3 months they come and pawn it
For what?
for money to pay their bills."
You are joking, Dan.
Yeah, so I'm like, that shit is sad. So they obviously bought something they couldn't afford that they continued to pawn to pay bills on. And they're paying like I don't it was a ridiculous interest. So
Is it even legal?
I said, so you gave them like $800 if they don't pay the interest or don't pick it up within the time, whatever that is. Like, what do you sell that for? He goes, I'll sell this for 4 grand.
5
So
times.
yeah. So the point is, you know, you shouldn't be buying a property if you can't afford the property. And even when the like I've gone down this road where people say, "Oh, but I'm approved for 600."
Oh
Yeah,
no.
I said, but let's talk about that.
Don't take that.
Do you know this is what the maintenance is going to be? This is what you might as well is going to
Utilities.
be. Like you have to have a little cushion. So just because you're
Utilities.
approved for 600,000 doesn't mean that you could afford a $600,000 house and
Nope.
live comfortably without the monkey on your back. So that remember the more they lend you, the more money they make when they sell that note. They don't care whether you're going to be foreclosed on or you have a monkey on your back. You
Mm.
know, everybody's your friend. They're tapping you on your shoulder, especially mortgage brokers. They want to load you up.
New house, new buy, new homeowner.
So keep that in mind. Just because you were approved for that amount doesn't mean you truly can't afford that amount.
Or you should get into that debt.
Yeah.
I tell Dan, you my dog. When I moved into this house here, I know I don't need to be moving into the total value. I just broke this down to my daughter. We only bought 40% of what this house is worth. I am done. I'm done because I know. Dan, I think the older you get, you know what that. I don't even. You know what? I don't even think it's an age thing. I think it is an awareness thing.
I haven't had a mortgage on my personal house in 15 years, man.
Good for you, Dan.
And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying it because I want the audience to understand.
That's why you are where you are.
Yeah, like, could I have taken a loan against the house? Yeah, I could have.
Any
Could I
day.
have paid off? I could have. I could not have, and used the money for something else. But I've saved so much money by not having a mortgage. I fund my own deals as a result of that.
Caller, state your name and where you're calling from. Hey, you on the line with Chris and Dan. State your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Jason. Call from Boston.
Jason from Boston.
How are you, Jason?
It sounds like you got a Boston accent. What's going on, Jason? What you got, my brother? What's your question? How can we help you?
All right, so I went to a land auction from the town, and I won the auction. I'm supposed to close on it, but I was there with another contractor, and we went to other auctions earlier in the day, and we kind of got a rapport with each other. So
Is it tax auction? Is it taxes?
Yeah, it was taxes. So the town took them for taxes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just me and him that was bidding. So before we bid, we was like, either we bid against each other or we work together. So anyways, I ended up getting for short money. So, but it's under my name, and I'm gonna close on it. And he wants to give me half of the money for the purchase. I'm kind of confused. I never did no partnership before, so the situation with the lots is there's two lots. One's conforming, one's non-conforming. But the conforming lot is an oversized lot. So I was planning on going to the planning board to get the smaller lot subdivided, so it would become two conforming lots.
You can move the line over. Are they adjacent to each other?
Yes.
Okay, so one's oversized, one's too small, so you can move the line. That's gonna be
exactly. But my question is though, he wants me to create a contract with him giving me the money, his half for the deal, but we haven't went through that process yet, and so I don't know. Like, do I take half of the money and just give him a contract, but it's stipulated on? Because, like, say worst case scenario, it'll just be one conforming lot and one non-conforming lot.
Yeah, but the non-conforming lot, whoever gets stuck with the non-conforming lot, okay. First and foremost, if you're going to have a partner, you better have a really tight partnership agreement in place. And that partnership agreement should, before you sign any document, that first has to be in place, right? And that partnership agreement should state what financial obligations you have, what financial obligations he should have, what is his responsibility, what is going to be your responsibility as far as the daily activities of managing that property or doing whatever you're planning on doing with that property. That partnership agreement should have what the plan is for that property, the timeline for that property, and it should also have a contingency that, let's say, hey, if John isn't doing his job, I could buy out John with a 30-day notice. So at this price, and what determines the price, right? Whether it be the appraised value, whether it be half of the price that you guys paid for it, whatever you guys agreed on. But there should be a very, very detailed partnership agreement, including how you intend to get out of that partnership if one of the partners either dies or fails to comply with what they've agreed to do with. So before you sign anything over or take any money from him, you need to have that partnership agreement in place.
Well, let me ask you: do you want to do the partnership? Was this an agreement y'all made before the auction?
This is just so before they started the auction, he was just like, if we get it, but he's like, I'll let you bid, I won't bid against you, whatever it is, we'll go half on it. And I'm like, all right, but how does that work? I never did a partnership before. I've always just did things by myself. So now the closing is tomorrow, and hold on for a second. The closing tomorrow.
You can still proceed with the closing and buy the property.
You buy yourself. That's what I'm saying. Do you?
And if you want to, comply with your verbal agreement, you could always, put his name on the deed later, after the partnership agreement is signed and agreed on. Because if you can't agree on a partnership agreement, you're not going to agree on anything. So you might as well not get into the partnership.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more what I was on, because I explained that to him from the beginning. I'm like, I never did a partnership, but I was like, it seems kind of complicated for me to take your money now, and then me close is still only under my company's name. No, and we're just like, it's not it's not a clear, because I look at the worst case scenario. If things don't go right, what is how am I supposed to proceed after that?
Do you even know what he brings to the table?
Say that again?
Do you know what he brings to the table?
He's a contractor, so he got heavy machinery equipment. He does new construction, so it's gonna be two.
You telling me you want
this will be 2 million.
Jason, are you looking to build on this property?
Yeah. The ideal situation would be duplex and a triplex.
Did you check out his ratings or other jobs he's on, or have you visited job sites he's on? Have you spoken to other?
No, I'm not having him like so. The main thing with him is, so there's 2 lots. So like if we get it subdivided, he'll have his own lot. I'll do my own lot. I'm a general contractor and a licensed plumber, so I'll do my own thing. I'm not gonna have him build it for me. But it's just the 2 lots. So basically, we're getting the 2 lots a lot cheaper than if we would have had bids against each other.
I don't want to get involved with the actual part of you guys, what that agreement is. I want to stay out of that. I want to stay in just, if I just buy some stuff and I'm like, look, I'm gonna sell it to you, I would just do everything and just sell it to him, whatever that fee would, just divvy that up. So, and not to say he's great. Let's presume he's a great guy and he does everything he said he's gonna do and he's above board. Close on it. So the subdivision is gonna cost you $4,000. I don't know where you at, but those things ain't cheap.
Yeah, it's about that.
It don't cost me $3,500 to do 1 line. It takes a guy 5 minutes to do the line, right?
You got that.
Yeah.
$3,500. Yeah, I don't know if I get in bed with him. I would just kind of like, I wouldn't mind doing. We have a.
I get the lot subdivided, and then I would get the lot subdivided the way it's supposed to be, and then give him his half and say, okay, pay me now.
We're done. Yeah, that's how we do.
Yeah, that's the way I was more comfortable with doing it. I was explaining to him, I'd rather just buy it myself. I'll take care of whatever the taxes is in between. I'll do the survey, and then once we get it subdivided, then we'll just split the cost down the middle.
No doubt.
Exactly, and he pays you, and you're done. And that way, you don't. If he tries to flake out on you, you don't have to get out of a partnership. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, Jason, you're doing it right. You already know what to do.
Right.
Yeah, no. I was thinking that, but I'm like, let me ask the experts because I know y'all know more than me. But that's where I was kind of thinking. I was kind of getting nervous because I'm like, it doesn't seem right to do it in that manner because it kind of gets confusing.
You're right, dog. You're right. Hey, good luck to you, Jason, man. Let us know how it goes.
All right, appreciate you guys.
Yes,
Thanks.
sir. Talk to you soon. That was a good one there. That was a good one. Look, that was a good one there. Round up. Got another question here. Mark. Hey, Mark. Dan, I have a rental in Queens. Bought a duplex in Binghamton. I'm presuming you know where that is, Dan.
Binghamton is great SUNY college up there.
Tried to rent it out. It's not easy. Dan, have you heard of anything about that market?
So if you're not renting out something in Binghamton, either the property is not calling.
Tell us about Binghamton, Dan. What is it?
Binghamton is an area that's primarily a large portion of his income comes from two different colleges that are up there. Binghamton being one of them, the University of Binghamton, which is actually an awesome SUNY college, state college in the state of New York. It literally competes against the Ivy League schools. Um, so it plus they have a lot of like corporations that do their business up there. The IRS has actually an office there, as well as New York State Department of Taxation has an office
It
there.
looks small though, Dan. Looks
It
real
is.
rural.
So it's upstate New York. But the reality is, you are not, if you're having difficult time attracting renters in Binghamton, then there's something wrong with the property, or your rent request is way too high.
Binghamton, New York.
Especially if you're near the university. If you're near the university, it should be relatively easy to rent that to students.
There's only 50,000 people up there though, Dan.
Yeah, but you have a large population that comes in
Oh, I
because they
see,
need
quarter
rent.
million. Wow. Okay. Good gracious.
Yeah.
A lot of people coming in for school or something.
Yeah, that school's an unbelievable. So you go to Binghamton, you're going to pay about under $40,000 for an education that it would cost you at Northeastern like 80,000, right?
Really?
They only take approximately 2,500 students a year. They get about 70,000 applications to
Good
get that
gosh.
to get
Holy
into that. So
cow.
very difficult university to get into.
To accept, press
Caller, thanks for chiming in. This is Chris
hello.
Haskins and Dan Borrero. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, my name is Ruth. Can you hear me?
Hey,
You can
Ruth,
hear
what's
your
going on?
Can you?
Where you
Yeah,
at?
New York City,
What up?
New York in the house.
New York City, New York, where it's tough. Yeah.
What's your
I
question? What
just
you
want
got?
to piggyback. I don't really have a question. I just have something to say. It's kind of like following what the previous caller, the gentleman from
Jason.
Boston,
Yeah.
the situation that he had. I'm a renter, and I actually, and along with my other fellow renters in this building, it's 38 units. We actually got caught up in between a couple of investors that were fighting.
Mhm.
And whenever you go in to deal with investors, you got to be really careful of what's happening. And we got caught up with two investors that were fighting. One pulled out and left with all the money. And there was some construction going on in the building, and everything got shut down. There were some guys working on the building in some of the empty units. And what they ended up doing, what the landlord ended up doing, because he owed them so much money, is that he allowed them to come in and live in the units, the empty units. And
Damn.
some of them were right. Some of them, yeah, because he had no money. The other investor took off with almost
And
$80,000,
you
and
stuck with
he
these
was
crazy
nowhere to
people
be
moving
found.
in.
And we got stuck with these people moving in because they were owed money, and they moved in. And some of them were, these migrants that came
Oh
in.
my Lord.
And right, let me tell you, we are in a bind here. And they came in, and they came in with their families, and more of them started coming in. And now that there's this voucher thing that some of these landlords have applied for, a lot of these migrants are getting these vouchers up to $2,500 to $3,000 per family.
Oh my Lord.
And they could move into these apartments as long as the landlords, are okay with it.
Yeah.
And even if the apartment is less than the voucher, the landlord gets the entire voucher. Especially if it's a city Phelps voucher. If the unit is 2,000, the voucher is 25, the landlord gets the entire voucher. They don't even deduct it. So what a
It's
lot of
illegal. It should be legal.
it's right. It's crazy because this is supposed to be a market value building. The owner supposedly took it out of rent stabilized so he could, market value everything. And now here we are living, with
Back.
these migrants who are on vouchers. But
This is
I just say
unreal.
all that to say, right, when buying with investors, one needs to be really, really careful about what you're doing and who this other partner is because
Wow.
it can be a nightmare.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ruth, thank you so much for dropping that on us. Dan, I'm gonna let Dan, this
Yes.
is his world. Let's let him chime in. Ruth, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Ru.
Thank you, bye.
Much appreciated. You have down Dave
Wow.
Barrero instead of Dan Barrero.
What I got?
Dave Barrero.
I do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We fired you last week and we had to bring
Yeah. So who's there's someone else on?
No, not yet. Go ahead.
I thought I heard somebody else.
Somebody no, it was Beaver. She was leaving. Go ahead.
Okay. So if anybody else has a question, by all means, please ask us. That's what we're here for. We're here to serve you, which we do this every single Sunday night.
Dan, talk to us about here's what I understand. I am black in America. I have never until 2 years ago, I got a PPP loan and I got a EIDL loan, right? Which I'm still paying back. This country hasn't given me, you know what? They might have given me $1,500 to go to college, maybe on 40,000. But I just don't remember them just having a program for me. I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about that.
I wouldn't count on it, bro.
Why did the migrants get? And I God bless them. I'm not mad at them. I'm just saying, why are our politicians fast to help people from other countries before they help us? Dan, what is it?
But I have a difficult time understanding that. There's no rhyme or reason to it, and I don't want to get into which countries, in my opinion, shouldn't be getting anything because I don't want to create this. I don't want to make this into a political
Well, we
debate.
already hate your guts anyway. So
Yeah. But I mean, it's just amazing to me how we have money to give to these other countries, but we don't have money to fix the plumbing in
Flint,
in Flint,
what is
right?
the deal? They want us to die
Where people are drinking water that's
with lead.
with lead. I mean, these are American citizens, right?
It's
So,
insane, Dan.
how do we have money to give to other countries, but we don't have the money to
The highways
pay,
and
pay
byways.
for people's health care,
Yeah, man.
right? So, yeah, and then how do we have money to give to all these migrants that haven't contributed anything to our society economically, at least, right?
Zero.
Zero. So,
Nothing.
and then
Talk it, Dan. Come on, let the beast
migrants
out.
are actually getting more money than vets that are sleeping in the woods. That makes no sense to me, right? So, but let's get back to how this political campaign, these two individuals, um, are spewing like they're going to give uh, black men $50,000 to start a business, or $50,000 credit, or you know,
Some
or
black men don't even deserve 50 grand. I'm not
yeah,
gonna say we all do because
I
they
don't,
don't know
I
what to
don't,
do with it.
my thing is, I'm still pissed off that, and I know you got some of it, but I'm not judging you, but I'm still pissed off how people got forgiveness on their PPP money, right? Like,
Mhm.
why are we subsidizing business people? That makes absolutely no sense to me. You know, if you can't run your business
Need to go.
efficiently,
We got to go.
you shouldn't be a business person.
It's just period.
Period. I mean, it is what it is. Is it difficult becoming an entrepreneur? Absolutely. Are you going to have to work 80 hours a week? Of course you are.
Mhm.
But when I hear, well, we got to make their lives easier because they can't spend time with their family. Yo, this is the United States of America. Like, everybody I know that was successful, economically successful, is because they sacrificed something.
Big
You're
time.
not going to get both people. And so when I hear either candidate saying, like, Trump came out and said he's going to, not tax overtime. You're a fool if you truly believe he's going to do that. He don't give a shit about people who work overtime. He's just trying to buy your vote and hope that you're dumb enough to believe that shit, right? And then when I hear Kamala Harris say she's going to give every black man or every entrepreneur a $50,000 credit on their taxes, that shit ain't happening, guys.
Yeah.
And if you believe it, you're a fool.
Yeah.
Now,
You're the one.
what I do believe is, and some of the things I'm doing to play defense, and I'd love to share this with you guys. Trump is saying he wants to put tariffs on every good coming into the United States.
I'm not mad at it.
And I'm not mad, or I'm not agreeing or disagreeing, but I know if he does that, I know the cost of material is going to skyrocket. The cost of tools are going to skyrocket. So
Why you say?
I buy new tools every 5 years. I'm due to buy them. I normally get them in Memorial Day or Labor Day because it's cheaper, right? I take advantage of sales. Guess what? I'm buying them now in November, Black Friday.
But then don't we have to charge for people bring for the countries bringing stuff into America? I don't know.
They do, but what he wants to do is, and his argument is, listen, if we raise the tariffs on these people, on these countries, eventually what's going to happen is they're going to not want to pay these tariffs. They're going to start building factories here in the United States, and it's going to create more jobs.
They might.
So it might. We're not, again, guys, it's above my pay grade, but I know that's a possibility, right? So if that happens, and it's a possibility because he doesn't have to go to Congress for that. That's an executive order. So if that happens, I know cost of material and the cost of my tools are going to go up. So I know the tools that we're going to buy next year, I'm getting this year before this year ends, so I can get that deduction, and I'm not going to pay the ridiculous prices. Now, if they don't go up, I'm still getting the deduction for this year, which decreases my tax implication. Now, let's talk about Harris. Harris wins, and if she wins the House, if the Democrats win the House, you could bet they're going to try to get rid of Trump's tax benefits that he came out with in 2019 for people like Chris Haskins and I, right? So especially with the accelerated depreciation. So what am I doing in case Harris wins? I'm trying to get all my capital improvements in before the end of the year. I'm spending a ridiculous amount of money putting in new roofs, doors, sidewalks, waterproofing, brick pointing, right? Because if Harris wins, I want to get the accelerated depreciation for 2024 because it may not be around in 2025, right? And if she doesn't do that, so what? I still got the accelerated depreciation, and I decrease my tax implications because I spent all this money on capital improvements this year, right? So, what I'm saying to the audience is, guys, as business people, it doesn't matter what business you're in. We need to listen to the rhetoric from both sides so that we know how to play defense and offense against their rhetoric.
Yeah. That's a good point. Here, hey, listen, y'all. We've got a few more moments. I'll be on here with Dan Borrero. Call in with your question. Give us a follow. Give us a like. 757-204-1332. 204-1332. Any real estate investing or life question you have for Dan Borrero or myself, we would love to help you with your deals. Earn money and inherit a property. Good for you. What should be my best move if I wanted to get it started in real estate? Dan?
You have to evaluate the property, right? If the property is, for instance, a single family home and it's really not, I personally don't like single family homes. Chris Haskins loves them, but the way Chris Haskins does it to the way I do it is totally different. If I did it like Chris Haskins, I'd probably be doing single family homes too. But you have to look at what the cash flow is going to be, and what else you could do with that money, meaning opportunity costs, right? So let's say the property's worth, let's just, for simplistic purposes, let's make it $100,000, right? Now, with that 100,000, if you're going to make only 200 a month, if you keep the property and after you renovate it, versus if you take that 100,000 and you invest it into another property with 4 doors instead of 1 door, and you're going to make 900 a month, well, then you should be selling that property and then reinvesting that money into a property that's going to give you more of a return. You always got to look at what your opportunity costs are before you make that decision.
You know what, Dan? I'm going to piggyback on that and say everything you just said is true. I want to make sure we go on both sides of the coin. Dan, even if I want to make sure people get me, even if Dan Borrero gives you a 4-family house, even if he gives you a house, are you equipped to manage it? And I want to make sure we get you educated, Keon. I can give you all the real estate. I give you all the money in the world, dude. If you're not educated and you don't have it here, I promise you, you're gonna lose all of it. It's just I'm telling you, this is living. I am the person that lost all my real estate to foreclosure in 2008 because I didn't know what I was doing. So, Keon, I want you to not only use that as an asset and do what Dan says, pay for some education and some coaching and training. Okay, Keon? Promise me you're gonna do that. Caller, state your name and where you're calling from. Caller, you're on the line with Chris Haskins and Dan Borrero. State your name and where you're calling from.
Guess not.
I guess not. Okay, no. Caller, you there? I hear something. Oh well. Dan, I never forget Storm saying, "Don't be passing down no, what do you say? No wealth instead of passing down no What did he say? Don't pass down,
Knowledge.
yeah, without passing down some financial. Not yeah. Stop worrying about financial generation. That's what it was. Don't stop worrying about generational wealth without passing down some generational knowledge.
Look, the reality is, how many lotto winners become
There you go.
multimillionaires and within 5 years they're broke?
They're completely broke, Dan.
Because they never had that kind of money. It's like the worst thing you could do to somebody that
Give them
doesn't
money.
have a relationship with money is give them money.
You can destroy themselves.
Yeah.
You can destroy themselves. Thanks for that, Dave. Derek, what's up, Derek? Amani, I don't think Mark's question about Binghamton was answered. The question was, oh, you know, we got some IG questions. I'm gonna get to that. Have you heard anything about the market? I thought you did talk about the market shit. Yeah, you did. You did do that one. We got a question on IG. I can't bring it over. IG. Somebody wants to know what is the best what is the best online system for tenants to pay you rent if you live out of town? That's a Dan Barrera question.
So there's a couple that I've tried actually. I'm trying one now that I think I like. I'm going to try it a few more months if I like
Hold
it.
on, caller. Hold on a second. Caller, hold on 1 second. Dan, what did you say?
I mean, there's multiple programs out there. That doesn't mean they're all good. I tried two of them. I didn't like them. I'm on my third one right now, and this one I think I like. So I'm going to try it about 4 or 5 more months before I start recommending it.
Don't speak on it yet. I don't have any. I'm sorry. OQDLLC, I don't have one for you. Who is on the line? Caller, your name and where you're calling from.
It's James from Maryland.
James, what's up, bruh?
What's going on?
Man, we are excited to have you here, brother. What's your question? What you got?
I had a question. I know Dan. Good evening, Dan, in New York.
Good evening, James.
My question is, talked about he prefers multifamily as opposed to you, Chris. You like single homes. What's that?
Why? Well, I would do single family homes, James. I would do multifamily. Just where I live, okay, everybody's area has a background. Where I live is like we got 7 military bases, right? And we just don't have any multifamily that makes sense here. We had these little small boxes back in the 40s and 50s where they were bringing all the troops here and bringing them and bringing them and bringing them. So we don't have a bunch. I would do it. I mean, I just don't have the opportunity to do it under my nose.
Yeah, but Chris,
okay.
You're not a traditional landlord in the sense with the way you do your leases. Explain that.
And don't forget, James, I do seller financing / lease options. So I am a landlord.
Mm-hmm.
I do regular rentals, but the majority of my stuff is like creative selling. So I just collect. I'm telling you, man, I'm just a money collector. I just collect money for people that want to live in my properties. Like I'm like a bank.
Mm-hmm.
So I would do. What do you think?
My question.
Now,
you do seller financing.
I'm more of a traditional landlord, right? Where I'm not the money collector. I'm the guy who collects the money and then has to spend that money and resources to maintain and make repairs and constantly communicating with tenants. So we're in a different. Although we're in the same business, we are in two different segments of the same business, right? So, it depends what's in your backyard. The way I look at it is, I've owned single family homes and I didn't particularly like them because I was dealing with them not the way Chris does. where the tenant in Chris's situation, the tenants have to make their own repairs and do their own upgrades. In my case, I was doing a traditional way. So the way I look at it is if I got to get an estimate for a roof, I might as well get an estimate for a roof that has 6 doors that I'm collecting rent from versus 1 door because it costs me the same amount of time. And it actually does cost about the same amount of money, half the
Mhm.
time,
Mhm.
right? So I look at it as how my resources, which is my time, that's my most expensive resource, right? How my resources could be most efficiently used and to get the highest rate of return.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Thank you for answering both Chris and you, Dan, for answering my question. I appreciate the knowledge.
Okay, James. Good call to you, brother.
I appreciate that question. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a
good
good
talk.
question too. I would do multifamily, Dan. I want to be honest with everybody. I want to be honest with y'all. I had some friends. I never said this. I had some friends, Dan, back in 2007, maybe. They bought some multifamily, some fourplexes, and the horror stories that I had to hear every day. People don't understand. Let me give you an example. Upstairs tenant hates downstairs tenant. Beef. Downstairs tenant has relationship with upstairs tenant that goes bad. Now you got a problem bringing another mate in. Downstairs tenant smokes. Upstairs tenant doesn't smoke. Upstairs tenant does weed. Downstairs tenant doesn't. I have heard so many stories, and this is first hand, Dan. This is not me just saying I heard online. This is my boy. I used to go. He says, Chris, whatever you do, and he lost this one. He's like, whatever you do, don't buy a fourplex. So a lot of that music is rolling around in my head too. I want to be honest with everybody.
And again, everything you just said, I've experienced. And as a result of that, one of the reasons why I don't really have those issues anymore because of the vetting process of my tenants.
The people, if you learn that,
Right.
you
So
learn that.
I've been schooled.
So he didn't have the ability to do that because his debt was so high. He was getting eaten alive.
He was too leveraged,
He was
right?
too leveraged
And he didn't have the training. Probably it sounds to me
and
he
the
didn't have
skills.
the training,
Yeah.
right? So this is not a skill set you just have.
You're not learning. You're not born with it.
Skill set that you have to
Acquire.
acquire. That's a great
You
great.
got to acquire this.
So and
Derek wants
the way
go
to
ahead, Dan.
acquire it is by getting beat up a little bit.
Oh, get training from Dan Borrero. Derek, you did a joint venture agreement made up in the contract with an attorney. That's true. You can do that. That's a good one for my man that was doing that thing. Jorge, what's up, brother? Democrats are losing the black and brown vote. They are replacing us with the MAGA vote. Hey, you right. Democrats, man. Democrats in trouble. You ask any black man today, he's like, I don't know who I'm voting for.
Oh God, I could tell you. I'm not going to tell you who I'm voting for, but I could tell you when I go in there to vote, I'm going to hold my nose and hope I don't puke. It's not a
I
good.
love getting you riled up. Why, Dan? I would think you would vote Trump all day long. Not that you like the guy.
I don't. Yeah, I'm not going to get into who I'm voting for, but
Yeah, no
I just
doubt.
think I just don't believe. It's hard to believe that out of 375 million people in this country, the only two fools we could come up with are these two people.
Here's the thing. Doesn't that at least go to show you that we have zero control over who gets in office?
It pretty much does, yeah.
I don't know why we don't even just admit it.
Yeah.
Robert Harvey, what's up? But can you do a subject to on a multifamily home or apartment?
I'm not sure. I mean, if the apartment's a condo, maybe, but it all depends if if the HOA is going to allow you to do that, right? You got to look at the HOA documents. If it's a co-op, absolutely not, because co-ops are selling shares, not square footage,
Mm.
right? So, it all depends. Now, multifamily, I don't see why you can't.
Yeah, multifamily. Absolutely, Robert. In fact, absolutely. I highly would suggest you do. Like, I don't know why people think that subject to is a bad strategy. Now, I understand from Dan Barrero's perspective, it's not that popular. It's not that popular, and perhaps it doesn't get done a lot. But the strategy itself, where you're owning an asset,
I think it's a great strategy.
You can't beat it, Dan. You own an asset without getting anything on your credit. I mean, come on.
You can't. It's a great strategy.
Then not now. I will. No, let's also agree that yes, where Dan lives, it's litigious society, and you got lawyers on both sides. I'll agree to that. Go ahead.
Yeah, but that's changing. And you met one of those people that are changing it at the Lunch and Learn, Mario.
Yeah,
Like so, he's killing it in northern Jersey, rather southern Jersey, and he's also killing it in Philadelphia right now.
we
So
need
two
that.
markets that I would have thought wasn't they weren't mentally prepared for that type
Mhm.
of deal making, but him and his wife are just killing it with subject twos.
That's good. So, Robert, I highly, highly suggest you get trained on that. We have some of the best training out right now. If you want to go to my site, you can get that. But yes, subject to, I'm telling y'all, if you understand that strategy, you will win over the next 5 years. You cannot lose. Get your questions in, y'all. We got somebody here from OQD. Oh, we don't have any recommendation for you. Sorry. Any questions? Call in real quickly. I got a few more minutes on here with Dan Borrero.
On IG.
Yeah, I'm looking at IG. Nothing on here. The same guy wants to know about that rental software you're using.
Yeah, I won't
Yeah,
give
I
it
didn't bring it
because
over.
I don't want to recommend anything I'm not sure about yet.
Yeah, no doubt. I heard rescue code. That's it. Anything new on your side, Dan? You want to share?
No, I mean, like I said, I'm doing some major capital improvements before the whole weather hits in.
Mm,
Um, that I was going to wait until the spring of next year to do, but I decided to play some offense and defense, based on whoever wins. I try to tell people this: real entrepreneurs don't give a rat's ass who wins because it's not going to affect us
I
economically.
gotta work. You get up same time, same bad channel.
And
Nothing
we're,
changed.
we're going to find a workaround. So if they put up a wall in front of us, based on the way we currently run our business, we're going to find a workaround. Um,
You
you know,
better. Or you don't eat. You don't eat.
because we only eat what we hunt, and we only if we're not successful hunters, we don't eat. Our families don't eat, right? So we're not corporate America workers. We're not municipality workers, right, Chris? Like, I have my brother-in-law has been out sick for a month, and he's been getting paid every week, every day,
Oh shit, that's
right?
cool. That
And he
is
works in
cool.
New York, right? And he gets
I
paid every day. He gets his paycheck every week. Would that happen with you and I if we didn't work?
well, I get some rent, but that's not
Yeah,
really.
but you still got to manage those
I
rents.
gotta
You
manage
got
the
to post
people.
them. You got to you make sure it's in. You got to send out the late letters. You got to still negotiate with talk to your accountant. You still
Mhm.
have to speak to your contractors. Regardless, if you're sick in bed, you're still on the phone
That's right.
because otherwise you don't make money,
It's rough, Dan.
right?
It's a
So
sobering thought.
so that's why Chris and I and people that are successful entrepreneurs, we prepare based on the information of the rhetoric for whoever's going to win, and then we adapt and we adjust and we
You
pivot
better. You
and we
better.
make money, right? So now, like I try to tell people, you guys are all fighting with each other
Over what?
over what?
Over what?
These politicians, Democrats and Republicans, they come on the national TV and they talk smack about each other, but
They love each other.
their kids all go to the same rich schools.
Talk about it,
They
Dan.
all belong to the same country club, rich country club that
You
you and
got
I
the
can get
same tutors. They're in the same bands. They're in the
same
same
tutors,
football
same
leagues,
bands. They all
sports
go they
leagues.
all go to the Ivy League schools that you and I don't qualify for, right? So like we could have the grades, but we still can't get in because we ain't got the contacts. Hence Bush Jr. That boy was only had a 70 average. Somehow he got into Yale. Yeah, right.
Yeah, wow.
Right. So the point is,
Dividing us, Dan.
right. So the point is, we're all fighting with each other,
For
and
what?
they're laughing at each other. They're laughing with each other when they go to these cocktail parties or they go to these fundraisers, right? That they all go to. So you
That's
know,
a good point, Dan. They're trying to divide
99
us.
yeah, 99% of what comes out of a politician's mouth is a lie. So if they're moving their mouth, they're lying, right? So but there are some things that they're going to get past, probably about 1% of what they're promising, and based on that possible 1%, we need to strategize. But I want to talk to you about a consultation I did yesterday, um, and this poor woman, she was at her. I could feel the anxiety coming through the phone. Her family, her and her family bought a warehouse. I won't say where. I don't want to give out that much information, but they've got between their mortgage, their taxes, and their insurance. That's the hard cost, not including the soft cost. They've got about $35,000 a month going out.
Is this a multifamily?
It's a commercial property factory type of setup with truck bays, the whole thing. One side is paying about I think it was 12 or 13,000. The larger side has a 15-year lease, and he decided he didn't want to pay rent no more 8 months ago. She's up to $40,000 in legal fees, and she finally got a judgment, a warrant for eviction. And when the sheriff gets there, he has to the eviction because the renter went and got a bankruptcy
Yeah.
under
He's
his
sharp.
LLC name.
He's sharp.
So now they go back 2 months later because that gets rectified, and then he went and did a bankruptcy under his
Personal
name. So now
he's slimy.
She's like,
slimy.
I'm gonna go broke.
She's slimy. He's slimy.
I'm gonna go broke.
Well, that's rough, Dan.
So, think about this, guys. She's coming out with about $25,000 a month.
Wow.
Of her pot. Well, no, I'm sorry. It's 35 minus 10. Yeah, 25. She's come out with $23,000 a month.
That's a lot.
Right. So, guys, again, it's all, and then she comes to find out that if she had done a proper background check, this man has done this several times to other landlords.
Yeah, but she couldn't do it because he was there when she bought the property, right?
No.
She put him in?
She put him in.
She got to bite the bullet a little bit on that, Dan.
So
sorry to hear about that.
Again, guys, it's so important that you vet your tenants properly. It's not just about if they have the income; it's about their personality. Their
personalities. Gabo, is double closing expensive or transactional funding? He has another one that he says, is the future going to be double closing since wholesaling is going to be regulated across the USA?
I don't know. Is that going to be regulated? I'm not sure.
I mean, Virginia just got regulated, but you can still do it with a real estate license. Gabo,
look, double closings will be more expensive, which is going to cut down on profit margins.
Yeah, it's going to be, I would say, 2%. It cost me about $3,000 to do a double closing. And if you're using transactional money, you're talking about another shit. What, $2,000 every 100 grand, Dan? I don't know. $2,000?
No, it depends what state and city you're in.
I mean, for every 100,000, you're going to spend at least $2-3,000. I mean, it's just going to, it's going to be more expensive, my friend. You're right. She may have to file a bankruptcy herself. Derek says, that's a good point, Dan.
Yeah, but the problem is if she does that, it affects her business. The business.
She don't want to do that. Yeah.
Because we discussed that.
That's rough.
Yeah, it's a horrible situation, and what makes it more horrible is that when you try to do this legally, the legal system that's supposed to be there wearing blindfolds, Lady Justice is supposed to be fair. It's not fair at all. Certain states. So this is going on in New York State. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a horrible situation for her. I could feel the anxiety coming through the phone while I was talking to her. I felt terrible.
I bet that's a rough one. Last call for questions, Dan, 757-204-1332. Dan, I want you to just talk to the people. I had one of my young mentees come to my house and have dinner with me tonight. He was working a job for the last 6 months. They let him go. I ain't heard from him in 5 months, right? So he doesn't have income. He wants to come talk to me, which I'm cool with that. I mean, I'm not judging him for that. But he's like, Chris, don't know where to start regarding his entrepreneurial journey. And I was asking him about what he does in his spare time. He listens to a lot of music, doesn't read anything, doesn't go to any trainings. Dan, could you just talk to the people that think that they're going to be an entrepreneur without changing their habits?
You
Because
can't.
a lot of people think that they're just going to work their job and then leave a job and be this entrepreneur
Yeah.
without changing what you do in your spare time.
First of all, you shouldn't be leaving your job if you have a job. You should be. I looked at my job like I was selling 40 hours a week to this employer, and based on that, and I worked all the overtime I possibly could get.
I've heard you say that.
Yeah. And I look at jobs as my train. I looked at my job when I had a job. Well, I have a job, but when I had
We
a
do have
quote
jobs.
unquote a traditional job, right?
We do have jobs.
Um, I looked at my job as if it was my training ground, my
I love
disciplinary
it.
ground,
I
right?
love it. I
Be
love
the
it.
first one there, be the last one to leave.
I
Make
love it.
sure you adding value to that business, right?
I love it. I love it.
When I did that, um, I got recognized, and because I got recognized by the bosses, they felt comfortable talking to me. Sometimes even going taking me out to lunch and paying for that, right?
Mm.
So, um, I look at my job as not only the training ground I need for my disciplinary side, but I looked at my job like I was selling 40 hours a week. Now, in his case, he got laid off. That's a little different. You got to change your mindset. Look, whatever you think of most and the way you think of it. So if you think of, damn, I'm so screwed, I'm so screwed, I'm so screwed. Every time you say I'm so screwed, I'm so screwed, it's just like digging that hole deeper.
Hmm.
And every time you say to yourself, I will be, and I am, and
Mm.
I will be doing this, and I will be doing that, it seems like the hole gets filled quicker so you can dig yourself out of that. Now, I'm going to go into a quick story. My cousin of mine asked me to if I could give work to his son because he's been laid off. Um,
Recently,
this just happened this week. No bullshit.
so
Actually,
you got the same issues I got with people coming over too.
and you know what? It just so happens I needed a laborer, and I was like, "Yo, if he wants to come in, this is what I'm paying. I have
Let
no
them come on in. Got it.
because he's a young kid. He's a healthy kid. He's actually a good kid. I like him, and he's not even a kid. He's in his 30s. He's not, So he,
Got laid
I
off.
realized when he was working in this one room, he every time I would if I put him in a certain part of the building to work by himself, he was working. It wasn't that he wasn't working, but he was listening to certain motivational speakers or
Okay.
entrepreneurial, and it was all through YouTube, right? So after about 3 days, he comes to me and says, "Listen, I can't work on Friday." And I says, "Well, what's up? What's going on? You got a doctor's appointment or something?" And he says, "No, I'm taking my girlfriend upstate because it's her birthday."
Oh shit.
So I said, "Bro, didn't you just tell me you don't have money to pay your rent?"
I know he did not say that.
Yeah, he told me that like 2 days earlier. That thank God he got this job with me so he could pay his rent.
Dan,
No bullshit.
please,
No bullshit.
please tell me you bullshit. No,
No, no. So I said to him, "Bro," I says, "Did your
this
girl
is
know that you
this is.
jobless? Like you on unemployment?" She says, "Yeah."
Hold up. First of all, why are you having this conversation? You must have some love for this guy.
Yeah, no, because he pissed me off, man. I hate stupid, and this to me was stupid, right? So a system,
I can hear your mind is like, what the fuck are
So
you?
then I said, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not telling you the actual verbiage I was using. Chris knows how I'm gonna talk when I get. So I'm like, Danny, just keep your mouth
What
shut.
the?
Just keep your mouth shut. So he comes to work on Monday, and the kid is responsible. He's there. He doesn't. He's there before I get there. He doesn't have
Okay.
a problem staying late. It, he works, right? Like whatever you tell him to do. If he doesn't know how to do it, tell me how to do it, and I'll make sure I do it. Like
I like that.
he's a good person, right? So now he tells me, "Oh, I'm not gonna be here next week because I'm going on vacation."
What?
So I said, "Bro, how do you go on vacation when you from a job that you don't have? Like you ain't got a job." So he's like, well, I told my girlfriend I was gonna go, and this was before I got laid off. I said, so now you tell your girlfriend you ain't got a job. I ain't
I
going.
promise you, she will forgive you.
Right.
My
So
wife
he's
be
like,
like, "Oh yeah, you can
the
stay."
whole time he's listening, all this whole 2 weeks, he's listening to some really good advice, And one of them, right before he told me this, because it was right before lunch, it was about delayed gratification and
Mm,
all the good things that come as a result of delayed gratification. Right.
mhm.
So I'm like, so let me see if I got this shit right, bro. You just listen to delayed gratification, all the reasons why it's going to help you, and then you come and you tell me you're going on vacation and you ain't got a job. So, point to Chris's point, it all starts here. It all starts here.
I think you know what, Dan. It sounds like to me when people are working. I want to make sure I paraphrase, and I have to true what you say. Put it in my head. When we're working, we need to make somebody else rich first, and then figure out how to make ourselves rich. Is that because I hear you say with your job, the overtime you were putting in, yes, it benefited you, but you were really working for.
I was making somebody else rich.
I'm not even mad at doing that. I mean,
Not
when I was younger,
I was helping myself at the same time.
I was kind of like, I ain't making it rich. But when you're doing that, you're actually learning a skill and you're showing the universe that you know how to actually create value for somebody.
Yep.
I'm like, what's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that. But now what do you do with that skill set? Do you keep making other
There
people
you go.
rich, or do you then decide to take that skill set, make yourself rich? But
I love
at
it.
the end of the day, if you're not born with if you're not born like Donald Trump, where your dad's going to give you $400 million to start your business,
You
you
got
got
to
to
figure it out.
sacrifice. You
You
got
got
to
to
go
figure it
without.
out.
You're going to have
Dan, I want both of us. I think I mean, the way we spend, I'm like, I want people to understand this shit, how y'all see me now, is this much of my life. This much. I've lived broke for the last 45 years. I want people to really feel this shit, Dan. And Dan, you could go out there and buy way more stuff and you live a humble life, dude. And there's
I live
nothing
in the
wrong with that.
I live in the same house for the last 26 years.
My thing is, why is that wrong? Why do we have to? Oh, you know what? I want people to follow you, Dan, and I follow you because of the work. The work. Now you do some traveling a little bit. Ain't like you going every month.
No, no, this year I did a lot of traveling.
I mean, you're doing more as you're getting older because
Yeah.
you should shit your ass. All of us should do more as we get older. But y'all, just because you get, just because I think people have my daughter's like, just because you get older doesn't mean your life's gonna get better. You got to make a
It's not
decision to
even
make
that,
it better.
just because you're older doesn't mean that you should be traveling more. Look, I could
Mm.
travel more because I earned it.
There you go. You are an elder.
Just
You
because you're
put the
getting
work.
older doesn't mean you earn the right to do what Dan Borrero does or what Chris
You
Haskins
damn
does.
right. You damn
Right?
right. I know
You
I
want
didn't
you want to do what Chris Haskins does or what Dan Borrero does.
work.
Work your ass off.
Work. But you know what, Dan? That comes with sacrifices, Dan. I don't know if you told people about your health issues. Me too. I got 2 back surgeries. Dan came. I know you've been in the. We both got issues destroying our bodies doing this mess.
Guys, I'll share with you guys. I didn't even post it because I was so damn exhausted today. Um, I just got back from vacation about a week and a half ago, and I've literally I didn't even do this. My wife did it. She said, "Danny, you realize in a week you put in 98 hours of work." I said, "How do
Damn.
you know?" She said, "I've been counting." She says, "I've been tracking it from the time that you leave the house. Because when I leave my house, just because I'm traveling to a job site or to a location doesn't mean I'm not working. I'm on the phone doing deals. I'm on the phone, managing my resources to make sure those resources are where they're supposed to be, whether that be human resources or material resources, whatever that is,
Mm,
right? I'm on
mm,
the phone, arguing with my insurance broker this week about getting me new quotes because the quotes that were coming in were ridiculous on the renewals, right? I'm
mm.
doing all this from the car. So she says, from the time that you left the house to the time that you came home, and then you go sit at your desk, you put in 98 hours this week.
I believe it. And Dan,
How many people do that?
that's just a normal ass week. And I
Yeah,
don't want people to think I mean, that's just what it is.
right. So, yeah, Chris and I travel. Chris and
That's
I,
what it is.
we live good. because we work hard, right?
Mm,
So we earn the right to live good.
you
Just
gotta
because
earn
you're
that right.
older, though, when I hear people say, "Well, I'm older, I deserve it." Well, why do you deserve it?
Yeah. For what? Who are
Did,
you?
did you put your kids through college? Did you pay off your house? Did you
I love it.
sacrifice and save money for retirement?
I love it,
You
Dan.
know, did you go without your Starbucks 7 days a week so that you could put money in the bank because that Starbucks was added up to $1 million over the last 20 years,
Oh wow.
right?
Oh
At with
wow.
compound interest. So just because you're older doesn't mean you deserve it.
No.
You deserve it when you put in the time.
We got a question that says somebody said Fraternal says, why work yourself to death when you're already a millionaire? Dan, go ahead and address that one.
Um, First of all, when is enough enough? Everyone's got a different enough. All right. I haven't reached my enough. I shouldn't say that. I've reached my enough, but I think if I could put in another 5 more years and I could really then like really not give a rat's ass about retirement, meaning like I'm never gonna worry about how much money I'm spending. If I would tell my wife, you know what, book a place in Italy on Tuscany for the next month, Airbnb, and let's get some business class or first class seat tickets. I don't want to have to worry about how much that costs. If I tell my wife, you know what, we're going to Puerto Rico for 3 months, see what we could get a condo right in Isla Verde facing the water, and make sure 3 bedrooms in case your kids want to come visit us while we're away,
Oh
right?
wow.
I don't want to worry about what that costs, right? So if I want to tell, if I want, if I have a policy that says, hey, if Dan Barrero gets sick, and if his wife gets sick, they don't have to go to a nursing home because they're going to have enough money in that policy to pay for 24-hour home care service in their own damn bed in their own damn house without
Wow.
bothering my kids, right? That's what I work for. I'm not working because of the money. I'm working because I want to make sure that I'm not imposing on any of my kids or anybody else in the event I get sick. Or I'm not want to make sure that when I feel like leaving, I could just leave and not give a rat's ass how much it costs. Right. So, guys, now it's not about the quad, it's about the other thing is this, Chris. Let me ask you a question. Is enough ever enough? Somebody
Well,
asked one time, when is enough enough? I
I
said,
want to. Here's the thing. I want to address this fraternal house because I had this thing in my mind too. So I came to the point in my life that I need to earn enough because I want to provide so much value to somebody else. Like if I just earn enough for me, in my mind, it just doesn't cut it. I've only got 80 years here on earth, plus or minus,
if we're
whatever,
lucky.
if I'm lucky, right? So I'm like, Chris, I need to make enough so I can have multiple children. I want to grow and be fruitful. I just don't want to make enough for me. I want to make enough so I can maybe adopt a kid one day, help somebody go through college, help other people do this. I want to make enough for you. Like, forget me. I'm good. I'm like, I'm so to the good. Like Dan Burrell, he was to the good. Now he's like, I want my kids to be able to do, I want my kids' friends. Dan wants his kids' friends to be able to show up and do this and help other people. So it's not just for Dan. It's not just for me.
Listen, we go on vacation. My kids come with us. They're adult kids.
Yeah, it's for other people.
One of them's married. So there's 7 of us that go on vacation,
It's
and
for other people.
dad pays for the whole bill
I love it.
because it makes me feel good, right? So when people say to me, when we were in Puerto Rico in April, and I forget my wife and I were laughing, and my daughter was like, "Why are you guys laughing so hard?" Because we hope you're enjoying your inheritance, because
Yeah,
that's
I'm
what we're
good.
spending,
I'm
right?
good.
I'm going to leave you a whole lot less money because of all these vacations we're taking. So I look at it like, hey, listen, I'm not of the frame of mind. I want to leave my kids money. Screw that shit. I want to enjoy my money with my kids while I'm alive.
I like that.
Right now, regardless, they're going to have more. If I chose to spend every red cent, they're still going to have more than I started with because
Mhm.
they have an education that they graduated with, no student debts. All those degrees back there, only one of them is mine. It belongs to my kids. So they started their adult life with no debt, right? So this is what Chris is talking about. We're trying to give more to people that we love.
That's right. And I
So
want to leave. Let me leave the one thing, Dan. My mentor said, Chris, this is what we do. This is what we do. Now, you can categorize yourself as a we. I know Dan Barrero is a we. We do deals. Like, I don't watch fucking football. I don't do it. I don't watch a bunch of whatever on TV. I don't listen to music. I don't do this. I don't do that. This is what we do.
Oh,
We do
Chris,
deals.
it's
And I'm
so
like, if I
funny.
called Dan Barrero and I asked him about a football game, he would look at me like I'm fucking, I mean, he look at me like I'm crazy. But if I call Dan and I say, Dan, what do you think about that new merger with TD Waterhouse the other day? I just saw this thing we need to talk about. He's like, oh, I already saw it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so Chris, I was at dinner last night. It was three couples, and we go out to dinner with these two other couples about every 3 months, right? So the two men were talking about the game, the Yankee game yesterday, and they were talking about the Met game. That's going to happen today. It might have happened already. I don't
Is it
know.
the World Series right now?
I think it's like whatever they call that series before the World Series,
Okay.
and they're talking about this player and they're talking about that player and how much this
Which
player
is okay. It's okay. Yeah, I'm not mad at him.
is going to make because now he's a free agent. This that.
Oh
So
shit, you know too much.
yeah, I'm just quiet. I'm just quiet the whole time.
I
And
can imagine you get quiet.
yeah, and they're like, "Well, what do you think?" I says, "I don't." I says, "What do you mean?" Because I don't know anything about it. I mean, like, I don't give a shit what that player is going to make next year or what he's made. I mean, you do they give a shit if I pay my mortgage or my kids are eating or my pay my kids college? You know, if they win, they make money. If they lose, they make
They
money.
make money.
Right? I don't make money. What do I give a shit?
Know your stats.
Or all the stats. Yeah, I mean, I don't care. Don't So
Know your stats.
right. So
Dan,
the point is like when I hear all these people, like when I walk on one of my job sites and my guys are listening to these sports channels, and then they're arguing over it, like, oh, the manager should have did this and the manager should have did that, and I'm like, yo, guys, you slapping plaster on a wall. If you that good at better than him, why are you making the millions of dollars? Why are you listening to this shit instead of listening to something that's gonna bring your mindset up so that you could invest the money that you're making here, so you can be worth more later? Because that's to me is a waste of time. You just while you were working, you were listening and arguing about some baseball players, some football player, or basketball players, whether they sucked or they played great, whatever, right? No problem. But imagine if you had used that same amount of time listening to Gerald Peters on how to invest your money, and create. You put $150 a week in, and you're going to have $1 million in 20 years.
Oh boy!
Right? Like what about that? Or listening to Chris Haskins on how to do a subject to, right? Or listening to Dan Barrero come to the mentorship class, learning how to manage your tenants, right? Imagine how much of a better life you could provide for your family. Because you're doing things at one time. You're working your 40-hour week and you're listening to something that's helping you get your mindset right.
Compounding. Somebody says the game is on now. I didn't even know.
Yeah,
Deuce, the investor, said the game, but he'd rather be here. Thank you, Deuce, for joining us, brother. It is an honor to be here. Dan, thank you so much for your time too, brother. You don't have to be here. You got a million things to do. Can I leave with one thing? What you choose to think about. Every time I see the football game, I think about Dan Barrero and how he is not looking at this stuff. And not to say if you look at football, that's your thing, please enjoy yourself. I'm not saying you need to do what we do. That's completely fine. This is what we do. Like Dan and I talk about deals. And you know what? Not everybody's going to do that. But you can't complain. I ain't here. I'm not doing this. But you fucking spending 10 hours on Sunday looking at whoever played who. I can't stand it. I'm like, I don't know. No, I know my stats. I know what my values are. I know exactly what's in my retirement account. I know what's in my wife's account. I know exactly what my AR, how much equity I got. I know what loan. I know this shit off the top of my head. Boom, we can go.
So I was listening to a guy today on Rod Cliff. He has a podcast. Rod, he's a big multifamily guy.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, your guy,
yeah. And he said he was actually on my mentorship.
Yeah, no doubt. I saw that.
Actually editing that mentorship class video from my video library today.
Yeah.
And he said something. He said, and I Googled it, and it was true. He says there are people who spend more time planning a birthday party than they do their financial future.
Yeah. They will, Dan.
And I was Googling it and I was like, this guy is right.
That's deep in the dog. That's deep
Think
dog.
about that. You see what Chris just said? He knows what's in his accounts. He
Oh,
knows
you
what's
right.
in his Roth
You
IRA.
should.
He knows what's in his traditional IRA. He knows what's in his investment accounts. He knows what each job is costing him. He knows what his budget
Equity.
is per job. He knows what the equity he has, the money he's got to pay out every month. He knows it down to the. If I ask Chris 6 questions, he'll answer me right now when it comes to money about
You
his
better.
personal life. Right?
You better know your stats.
Know your stats.
Know your stats. What are your stats? What the hell? How much equity? Better yet, let me ask you this, Dan. I remember before when I was broke, which I have been the majority of my life, I didn't know my amortization schedules on my loans. Dan, when I started, you know what? One day I said, you know what? Let me just try it. I just printed out all my loans. Do you know I made them all go away?
Like this.
Yeah, and you know what? It felt like that, but when I look back, when I look at it, it was hard. Yeah, but I'm like, I knew my stats, and dude, we are so not trying to. I don't want to make sure we're not trying to say we're here, you're there. I just took time just to see what month was I at, how much had I paid them down. You know, before I just didn't even care, but then I have all day, and I took that one day. I said, I'm printing out all these shits. I live with them, and then I started paying extra mortgage. I saw them dropping down. And it was magic. This shit, they all went away.
I want everyone here to understand. Chris and I are not. We're not talking ill of people who want to watch football all day.
Oh yeah, you can do that. You can do that. But they probably won't come here though. People,
Right.
they're not going.
But don't come and tell me, "Hey Dan, I'm stuck and I feel like I'm a stick in mud."
That's the shit I can't.
I don't know where to start. Because to me, it's like stop watching football. Stop watching football all day on Sunday for 8 hours, 10 hours. Use those 10 hours productively. I sat at my desk from 6 to 1.
Good
From
God.
At 1 o'clock, I went shopping for material for a job for tomorrow.
Good
Right?
Lord, damn.
Dropped it off to the job site. Took my son with me so he could haul that shit up the stairs. So I didn't have to.
Are you at least not hauling material anymore?
I still do a little bit, not like yes. Oh, Chris, I got to tell you what
You're
I did.
not gonna fuck. You're not gonna be happy till you mess your back up like me.
My back was killing me, so that's another reason why I took my son. So, but the point is, I got my men set up for tomorrow, right? While somebody else was watching football games all day.
Mm.
And then they're wondering why they can't pay their bills or they're not getting ahead or they live in check to check because you chose to watch football all day on Sunday.
Habits.
You know, guys, you have to understand if you're not born with a silver spoon in your mouth, you need to develop the skill sets, and it all starts with the discipline. Yeah. Everything has what they call opportunity costs, right? So if Warren Buffett spent $100 million on a yacht, Warren Buffett has $100 million less to invest, right? If Dan Borrero and Chris Haskins watch football all day, Dan Borrero and Chris Haskins will make less that week because we weren't prepared on Monday.
That's a good one, Dan. I didn't work as much as I worked about 5 hours today. I didn't work as much.
Normally on a Sunday, I don't work this many hours, but the reality is I took 2.5 weeks. I gotta make it up. I gotta make sure shit is running. So again, guys, you know, but I'll tell you a quick story. So yesterday I got a phone call from a cement guy that does my masonry work extremely cheap when he has no work. Right. So he calls me up and he says, listen, the job
he's open.
Right. The job I was going to start on Monday, I can't do because the guy got sick. And then when I called the guy up that I was going to be working with on Wednesday and said, can I start on Monday? He said he can't for whatever the reason. He goes, so I could do that job. I said, sure, no problem.
Wow.
Do you know, I loaded 50 bags of cement in my truck yesterday.
At 40 pounds?
At 80 pounds a bag.
80? Oh my God, dude. You're a sick individual.
So I ain't gonna lie to you, my back was killing me. And my sons weren't around. They were both upstate visiting their college or their colleges because they went to see a game or something. But the point was, when he called me, it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I had to get to that place to get to. Otherwise, I won't have the material on Monday for him to start at 7 in the morning.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Right. So, did I have plans yesterday? I did. Did my wife get upset with me because I couldn't do what I told her I was going to do? She didn't, because she knows in Dan Barrero's mind, his business is going to come first.
Sweet.
Right. So that we could afford to do everything else we do.
She knows that. That's one thing the ladies do. They leave you alone because you bring that paper in.
Yeah.
They leave you alone. All right, y'all. We gone. Good seeing y'all. Make sure you like the channel, share this with other people that need to get their mindset right, and subscribe. We'll see y'all next week.
Take care, everyone.
All right, peace.